Shem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem, Rakam Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, and shalom to the Akim out there pushing the word of sincerity and the truth. And this is just going to continue on the first part, which is the part A. This is going to be a B part, this basically the second edition. And I'm going to jump straight into it where we left off, Hebrews 10 and 13. It says, from henceforth, expecting till his enemies be made his footstool, and that's talking about Yahweh Shah, of course. For by one offering he has perfected forever them that are sanctified. And what's that one offering that Yahweh Shah presented? Himself. All right, when he went to the cross, all right, and he got crucified. All right, which the word crucified goes into being exalt. All right, then he got of course, after the fact he got pierced, and it said that it was a mixture of water and blood. All right, so he was that instrument, that lamb that got sacrificed so that we could be redeemed. The word redeemed goes into buy and back. Read means back, and redemption is going to basically the purchase. So how do Yahweh Shah purchase us back unto the Most High, the Father, through his blood? All right, it says, and matter of fact, that's the main point, and I'm going to go back into the book. So it says, Yahweh Shah was not only the perfect sacrifice, but his sacrifice covered all sin, past and future. No more sacrifices are required. In Romans 12 and 1, we are told to present our bodies as a living sacrifice. What does this mean to you? All right, and what it means when you present your body as a living sacrifice is bearing your cross, as Yahweh Shah said. Yahweh Shah spoke about his cross being, or his yoke being light. So you actually taking up the ministry and following Yahweh Shah as the disciples. All right, the Peter, Paul, James, John, all these different disciples, they presented their bodies as a living sacrifice because they presented themselves out and did the ministry of Yahweh Shah, whether it took life or death. And a lot of men died as living sacrifices for the name of Yahweh Shah's sake when you read the book of Acts, all right, and various other scriptures. All right.
I got Romans right here.
Yeah, you can get it.
All right, this is Romans 12 and 1. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Right. So you present like a present. A present is an offering. So you present your body as a living sacrifice. What are you offering your vessel? All right, to this ministry. All right, when you read the scriptures, Matthias, all right, Stephen, a lot of these different men of the Lord, the disciples, all these different men of the Lord actually presented their bodies as a living sacrifice. And some of them actually died, got crucified. Hebrews, the 11th chapter, speaks about that. All right, and you could go into the biblical accounts where certain people actually spoke on it, where Peter got crucified upside down. All right, and various other disciples got beheaded in the scriptures. James, if I'm not mistaken, was the first one. All right, James and John, those were the first two disciples. They got crucified. All right, so they presented their bodies as a living sacrifice for the word's sake. And we have to emulate that same practice. Keep going. It
says holy.
Holy, which means separate. Going back to that offering had to be without blemish. All right, it had to be without spot and blemish. All right, it had to be pure. Keep going.
Acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service.
Right. So you have to be holy and acceptable unto the Most High. And how will the Most High accept you? If you're actually Psalms 119 and 9. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get that. Actually taking heed and following the words of the Lord. This is Psalms 119 and 9. Wherewith shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. So that's how you cleanse your way. That's how you perfect your body as a living sacrifice, by taking heed or being attentive. All right, embracing the words of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shah. All right, and I'm gonna get back into the book, which I have part 2, and I had actually pulled this up because this is mainly what we're going into, the tabernacle and all the things that's in the tabernacle. The bronze layer, which is laver, which is number 2, and then you have the golden lampstand, which is number 3. The table of showbread, the altar of incense, number 5. The veil, number 6. The ark of the mercy, number 7. And I'm gonna call the numbers and I'm gonna read on it. So going back to number 2, the bronze laver, it says the next step was for the priest only. In fact, the rest of the work was performed by the priest on behalf of the people. After making the sacrifice, the priest washed himself at the bronze laver. and that is, the numbers are very blurry. If I'm not mistaken, that's right here. This is the bronze laver, if I'm not mistaken. Matter of fact, I have the same book that goes into that. Number 2 would be,
I think it's 7, right? Oh, number 2.
Yeah, that's number 2. Bear with me. They just got the priest right here. They got it with yeah, that's it right there. That's the same thing. Yep. So right there, that's the bronze laver. So it says this washing. Excuse me. After making the sacrifice, the priest washed himself at the bronze laver. This washing purified the priest and prepared him to enter the tabernacle. In Exodus 30 and 20, the Most High says they must wash so that they did not die when they enter the tabernacle. The bronze laver was made from brass mirrors donated by the women. The Bible does not describe the laver completely, but perhaps it had a shiny mirrored surface which would help the priest watch thoroughly and to remind him that the Lord sees past the outward appearance straight into the heart.
I got the precept.
Okay, and you can bring it up.
This is Exodus 30 and 20. It says, when they go into the tabernacle of the congregation.
Right, which the tabernacle is the tent of the congregation. All right, this is the tabernacle, the inside. Keep going.
It says, they shall wash with water.
Right, and excuse me, the congregation is on the outside. You have the 12 tribes fenced on the outside of the tabernacle. So when they would go into the tabernacle, keep going.
It says, they shall wash with water that they die not, or when they come near to the altar to minister to burn offering made by fire unto Yahweh.
Keep going.
It says, so they shall wash their hands and their feet that they die not.
Yeah, so that's important. That's a strict rule that they wash their hands and purify themselves so that they die not. Keep going.
And it shall be a statute forever to them.
Right, it should be a statute which is a commandment forever to them. Keep going.
Even to him and to his seed throughout their generations.
See, and this is spiritual, because this statute somewhat is still in place and intact. Now, we don't have the physical priesthood that's actually physically washing themselves, but we're a nation full of kings and priests, and we have to be constantly washed and purified to be holy, made holy and perfect in the eyes of the Most High.
That's right.
All right, that's why it says they should wash their hands and their feet, that they die not. By what? How do we wash our hands and our feet? We don't have this bronze laver anymore. We have this word. This is the purification.
Living water.
These are the living waters. All right, that's what the Lord said. Out of these waters shall, out of this word shall flow rivers of living water. All right, and that's really the main point.
Yeah, that was it.
Yep, that's the main point. So it says to think about, even though we Christians, because you know it has Christians, and spiritually we are the Christians. The word Christians goes back to the Mashiachim, which were the Israelites who were first called Christians in Antioch. All right, they were followers of Yahweh Shah. All right, so it says, even though we Christians have accepted Yahweh Shah's sacrificial death on our behalf, we too need to be cleansed. Read John 1 and 8 to 9. How will Yahweh Shah's disciples understand this verse?
You want me to grab it?
You don't have to get it. And that's the main point: us being cleansed by the Spirit of the Word. We don't have to have this bronze laver, which I read before, the bronze altar, because we have it spiritually now. Now we're going into the golden lampstand. It says, from the laver, the priest passed through a veil into the holy place, and that's going in here. This is the holy place. The high priest was the only ones that had the access to the holy of holies. And there's the golden lampstand, which of course we know is the menorah. It says the room he entered had 3 objects: a golden lampstand on the south, a table on the north, and an altar of incense to the west, just before the veil to the most holy place. The most holy place, holy of holies. The unique lampstand was beaten from a single piece of gold. It was not pieced together. Scripture tells us it was fueled by oil, not wax. Oh, that's them virgins with that oil, Matthew 25. It had lamps at the top of each branch, not candles. Its purpose was to provide light in this otherwise dark room. Hey, Exodus, it tells you that in Isaiah 60. You could pull that, because we're in that dark room. What's that dark room? Babylon. the valley of the shadow of death, and we have to have this golden lampstand this to purify and to illuminate our paths to the kingdom of heaven. All right. It says it says the unique lampstand was beaten from a single piece of gold. It was not pieced together. Scripture tells us it was fueled by oil, not wax. It had lamps at the top of each branch, not candles. Its purpose was to provide light in this otherwise dark room. Trimming the lamp wicks to keep them burning brightly was an important job for the priest. And you can read that.
This is Isaiah 60. I'm going to start at the top. It says, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee."
Right, and what's that light? The light is this word. This is the illumination. All right, it tells you that in Baruch, the 4th chapter. Matter of fact, and I'm going to have a quick jump on precept. Baruch 4:2. "Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated." Which that word illuminate means to shine. All right. Keep going.
It says, "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth."
Right. Just like it said, that dark room. All right. In that dark room, this is a big dark room that we live in, the valley of the shadow of death, man.
And we are that light.
Right. And we represent that light. All right. Yahweh Shah spoke about that light that's supposed to be not under a bushel, but it's supposed to be established on top so it could shine upon all men. And what Yahweh Shah said, let your light so shine. What's your light? This word, your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Keep going.
It says, "And gross darkness the people."
What's gross darkness? The lies, the deception, the covering of deception and deceitfulness, so to speak, upon the whole world, man. All right? The trickery and the duplicity, all this fraudulent wisdom that's being pushed out into the world, which is witchcraft, sorcery. All right, keep going.
It says, "But the Lord shall arise upon thee,
Mm-hmm.
and his glory shall be seen upon thee."
He said, "The Lord shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." Through what? This word. All right. It spoke about how the virgins will fall asleep, which I might not get. Matter of fact, I'm just going to touch it lightly. But the virgins will fall asleep, and they will actually be re-arisen in the times to come in Matthew the 25th chapter. So I read it. This is Matthew 25:1. "Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom." And those lamps, this is that spiritual lamp that we're actually taking.
God.
That menorah. Because that menorah was the beacon. That was that light to illuminate the Holy of Holies.
God.
So it says, and went forth to meet the bridegroom, and 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. So the wise actually took the oil and put it in their spiritual vessel. So what? They could be illuminated in their walk constantly. They would have 360-degree, knowledge, so to speak. Just like when you have a light, you can actually turn in all directions, and that light is going to actually show, it's going to project what's in front of you. Mm-hmm. All right, and if you don't have that light, then you're going to be walking in darkness. Subject to trip up. You're subject to fall in different pits. You're subject to touch poisonous, poison ivy, and different things of that nature. And ultimately, you're subject to go on the wrong route.
And if you make the wrong movement, that light can go out.
That's right. That's why you have to be constant, and you have to be meticulous how you walk. All right, careful, not carefree. Yeah. So it says, "They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered and saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves." And that's the main point. I'm not going to go into the fullness of the detail, but that's the point of the wise virgins, having that oil, which represents the men of the Lord, actually keeping that light with them, which is the knowledge, in their whole walk, continuing with them in their whole walk, not putting it on the back burner, so to speak. All right, so going back to the point, it says its purpose was to provide light in this otherwise dark room. Trimming the lamp wicks to keep them burning brightly was an important job for the priests. And the scriptures speak about how we're the nation full of kings and priests. It's no longer the office of the Levites, it's the office of the whole nation of Israel. And that's the importance for the priests to actually have that light. The Lord, everything that's in this tabernacle is here for a reason, and it's still with us today. Exactly. It's not with us physically, of course, but it's with us spiritually. And you have to have all these different things in order to be pure and for the Most High Spirit to dwell within you. Exactly. So it says to think about Yahushua calls himself the light of the world in many places in the Bible. John 12:46. And I'll get that. All right. I'll get it. Okay. Right here. This is John 12:46. It says, I am come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth on me should not abide in darkness. All right, and that's Yahushua. Believing on him opens you up to the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which gives you a sense of awareness. Being self-conscious, self-aware of your surroundings, knowing where darkness is present, knowing what to stay away from, and knowing what light to keep yourself in the presence of, so to speak, which is Yahushua. All right, so this is number 4, which goes into the table of showbread, which you have in the inside right here. It says, on the table of showbread, Aaron and his sons placed 12 loaves of bread of the presence, made from fine flour. These 12 loaves represent the 12 tribes of Israel. The table with the loaves was a continual reminder of the promise, the everlasting promises, the covenant between the Most High and the children of Israel, and the memorial of the Most High's provision of food. The bread was eaten by Aaron and his sons and was replaced every week on the Sabbath. Yahushua calls himself the bread of life, John 6:35-51. He said that those who came to him would never hunger again. Physical bread, even the special bread of the tabernacle, is consumed, but the spiritual bread of life, Yahushua, gives eternal. Hebrews 8:6-7, which I'll get.
All right, the John too.
Okay, you can keep that. Yeah. Hebrews 8:6. And Hebrews 10:16 tells of a better covenant through Yahushua, one superior to the Old Testament covenant to Israel. The law would be written on people's hearts, not on tablets of stone. And you can read that.
This is John 6:35. And Yahushua said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger.
Right, so Yahushua represents that bread of life. All right, so we don't even need the table of showbread. And one thing spiritual with that table of showbread is David actually was hungry, and he came into the temple and he ate of that showbread. All right, so that's a spiritual thing, because us brothers that's hungry for the word, we're able to have access fully to eat of this word, so to speak. And this word is that which doesn't perish, because like it says constantly, the priest will actually have to keep renewing that table of showbread in order to have it supply, keep the inventory intact.
It was symbolic of the 12 tribes also, so you had to have 12 pieces.
Right, it was symbolic of the 12 tribes. All right, and the bread that we're eating is the word of Yahushua, which we don't have to constantly renew, so to speak. Well, we have to renew it spiritually, but not physically. It's that upgraded law. All right, just like Elder Ariella said. And just like Yahushua spoke about that manna. All right, he also calls that bread the spiritual manna that comes from heaven. What you keep going.
It says, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst.
He said, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. All right, is that talking about physically thirsting? No, it's talking about spiritually thirsting. Meaning you won't be without desire of understanding. You won't lack understanding. Which the scriptures speak about in Proverbs 21:16, which I'm going to get real fast. Proverbs 21:16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding. So if you go astray outside of this bread of life, which is this word, shall remain in the congregation of the dead. All right. And I'm going to get this other scripture. There's some more on that?
No, that was it. That was pretty much your point.
Come. Yeah, and he had get Hebrews 8:6 also. Okay. Yeah, I got it. This is John 6:49. It says, "Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead." And I'm gonna jump to verse 58. "This is that bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna and are dead. He that eateth of this bread shall live forever." So this is that upgraded manna. This is that upgraded table of show bread. This is the highest form of bread that you can actually consume, which is the spiritual bread.
That's
All right, this spiritual bread that will keep you intact and will keep, and access to this bread will give you everlasting life. Because you had different priests that ate of that table of show bread, but they perished. All right, some of them were wicked, and ate it unworthily and got put to death. Some priests, like in Samuel, the sons of Eli, if I'm not mistaken. All right, and you had, which if I'm not mistaken, they probably weren't the high priest, but they were of that priesthood. So you had priests and individuals, and you had wicked high priests also that actually all throughout the scriptures. All right, that was in that temple, which was in the Holy of Holies, and they were basically wicked, basically defrauding the congregation. So this is that spiritual bread that if you're inside of this, then you can't, get the one up on the Most High. All right, because you have to be pure in the sight of the Lord to even eat of these words.
That's right.
And you have something?
Yeah. This is Hebrews 8:6. It says, "But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises."
Right. And the better covenant is the new covenant, which is going to read. Keep going.
It says, verse 7, "For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second."
And we fell short of the first covenant, which was the first agreement that Moses gave to the children of Israel to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, which is the Torah. All right, and we fell short. We broke the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, we went in captivity. We got our temple shattered in the Babylonian captivity in Rome. And the abomination that maketh itself desolate in Greece, where they actually ran us out and they were sacrificing swine's flesh and various other unclean and abominable items on our altar. All right, they broke the stone in half. All right, which was the scriptures in the law speaks about how that stone has to be of a whole stone. So this is the time where Yahweh Shah is establishing us upon greater promises. New covenant.
And so going into that, this is verse 8. It says, "For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them out of the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continue not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith Yahweh."
See, that's the time where we left out of the wilderness, and this is it right here. This is the covenant which first it was established when Moses went to Mount Sinai. All right, and he received the tablets of stone written with the fingers of the Most High. When you read in Exodus, was that 18 and 31 or 31 and 18? Matter of fact, you could get that real fast. 18 and 31, and then after that, the Most High told him to give those laws, statutes, and commandments unto the children of Israel, and all the things that was worded from the Most High to Moses, it was inscribed in those writings, and Moses orally gave it and presented to the children of Israel. But the children of Israel didn't listen, and they disobeyed, and we had to suffer those different captivities. All right, and here we are 2,000, from the time of Moses, of course, that's thousands of years, 2,000 plus years after the fact, and we're in captivity. But we're reestablishing ourselves upon those greater promises, starting now in the spirituality, without having access to a priest, without having access to a high priest, without having access to the temple. All right, to the tabernacle, all right, to the Ark of the Covenant. But we have access upon something that's greater than all those things, which is who? Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah.
This is Exodus 31 and 18. "And he gave unto Moses, when he had an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone written with the finger of the Most High."
Right, so it was the tables of testimony, which you watch the 10 Commandments, and it shows how the Most High had that laser writing inscribing those words, all right, written within and without. All right, because 613 law, statutes, and commandments, that's a lot of commandments written on tablets. Those were some pretty hefty tablets inscribed with the writings of the Most High.
Yeah.
And when Moses first came down, the children of Israel was going off, and he shattered those tablets.
Yeah.
All right? And he had to go back and he had to redo everything over again. But that's spiritual in itself, showing that the first law would be not physically done away with, of course, but it would be established upon a spiritual promise. Because what did he do? He crushed it up and he made the children of Israel consume it.
Mm-hmm.
So now we actually have to spiritually consume these different words. These words have to be broken down to us spiritually instead of physically back then when Moses actually broke it and shattered it and made us feet and fed it to us, all right? Carnally, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And that's the main point.
The Most High, so like the Most High was ready to destroy Israel after that too.
Yeah.
But Moses, what he had told him was basically remember the promises.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he told Yahweh to remember the promises that was given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah, and Israel was going off ultimately too, because here it is, Moses was receiving the commandments to give Israel to be sanctified and to be holy, and simultaneously Israel is basically seducing and persuading Aaron to make a golden calf, man.
Right.
Which Aaron made it, you know. He went off and made it, and Moses was basically pissed off at Aaron at the moment. If I'm not mistaken, they had a dialogue about that, but that was the reason why Aaron couldn't go to the promised land. All right, so Moses was hot, and ultimately the Most High was furious with Israel. All right, this is Exodus 32 and 19. It says, "And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger was hot, and he cast the tablets out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount." Mm-hmm. And I'm going to jump to, I just looked it up. I'm going to go to my sword. Get that, Exodus 32 and 29. All right, verse 20. "And he took the calf which they had made, and burnt it in the fire, and ground it into powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it." So, excuse me, Salakia, it was the actual calf that he actually broke asunder, and he actually shattered it and made the children of Israel drink it.
God.
All right, and it says, "And Moses said unto Aaron, What did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them?" Yeah, see, and Moses is dialoguing. Just like I said, Moses and Aaron had that dialogue, and he was a little, pissed off with Aaron. He said, "What did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them?" And Aaron said, "Let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people that they are set on mischief." So you're like, man, these niggas is mischievous, man. They seduced me.
They put that heat on Aaron.
Yeah, they put that pressure on Aaron, and Aaron had to submit. And that's our people. But that's why the Most High, through the mercy of Yahweh Shai is going to establish us upon greater promises. And like I said on the previous lesson, Yahweh Shai said, through his blood, it says, so that all Israel shall be saved. Because ultimately, all Israel is going to be in the kingdom of heaven, and that's due to the fact that Yahweh Shai actually sprinkled his blood upon the whole nation. If Yahweh Shai didn't do that, then we all wouldn't have access into the Most High. All right? So I'm going to read this last part, and then we're going to do another part, just for the sake of time. And this is going to go into number 5, the altar of incense. It says, "The Lord required that special incense be burnt constantly on the altar of incense. It was a special sweet incense, a mixture of spices, to be used only for the tabernacle." Exodus 30 and 35 through 37. The Most High specifically required this recipe. None other was to be burned on the altar. It was a matter of life and death, as Leviticus 10 and 1-2 clearly shows us, when 2 of Aaron's sons offered a strange fire before the Lord and were struck dead. And I'm going to get that. Leviticus 10 and 1-2.
Let me read the Exodus.
Yep.
This is Exodus 30 and 35. It says, "And thou shalt make a perfume, a confection, after the art of the
Apothecary.
apothecary, tempered together, pure and holy.
Yeah, temper. It said tempered together,
Time.
which temper goes into balance. So this basically he had the individual to actually craft these. Which individual is this? If you look some verses up. What's that? Exodus 30:35. Let me see.
He was talking to Moses.
Talking to Moses. Okay, you keep going.
It says,
because everything was dialogued through Moses, and Moses actually had certain individuals to actually do the workings of things. Keep going.
It says, after the art of the apothecary, tempered together, pure and holy. And thou shalt beat some of it very small, and put of it before the testimony in the tabernacle of the congregation, where I will meet with thee, and it shall be unto you most holy. And as for the perfume which thou shalt make, you shall not make to yourselves according to the composition thereof. It shall be unto thee holy for the Lord.
Right. So that perfume or that special incense was very, very holy unto the Lord. Right. It was specific. It was very meticulous. And if you were to do it the wrong way, then you would be put to death. And this is Leviticus 10:1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein and put incense thereon and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out a fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. All right, so Nadab and Abihu was two rebellious individuals that did something that was outside of the spirit of the Lord, and they suffered the consequences, suffered instant judgment, which was fire that actually consumed them. All right, so I'm going to keep going. It says, in the New Testament, the priest Zechariah was in the holy place when an angel appeared near the altar of incense. Luke 1:5-13. The angel announced that the Most High had heard his prayers and he and his wife would have a son, John the Baptist. To think about, incense represents the prayers of the faithful. There are several references to this in the book of Revelations 5 and 8, which you can get. And it says, are our prayers a sweet incense towards the Most High? And the answer is yes. All right, because when you look at incense, when you burn it, it's spark from the head, and the smoke, it ascends on high. So that represents your prayers. When you actually spark your spirit through the spirit and access of Yahweh Shema Shah, calling on His name, and you actually send your prayers up, because the scriptures speak about how a man's prayer actually pierceth the clouds. You got that?
Yeah. This is Revelation 5 and 8. It says, and when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden veils full of odors, which are the prayers of saints.
See, the golden veils full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. So it's not physical odors, but it's the spiritual odor. All right, the energy that you're actually emitting. All right.
Let me get the other revelation too.
Yeah.
This is Revelation 8, verse 3. It says, and another angel came and stood at the altar having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne.
So this angel, it said it was an angel, correct? Yeah, so this angel actually had the incense, and he was actually constantly offering the prayers of the Most High. To the Most High, from the prayers of the saints. All right, is some more on that?
Yes, some more. And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before the Most High out of the angel's hand.
So it came through the spirit of man, and it actually ascended up
to the Most High.
Yep. And I have that precept, Sirach 35:17. It says, the prayer of the humble pierceth the clouds, until it come nigh, he will not be comforted, and will not depart till the Most High shall behold to judge righteously and execute judgment. All right, so that's the end part that we have. We're going to actually do a continuation, Lord willing. This will be the final part of the series. So we're going to end it by giving all praise, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba Hashem, Rakah Kodash.
Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom Akim.